So we've skipped a lot of the story to move from Abraham and Isaac on top of the mountain to Jacob on his deathbed. We've basically missed out the life of Isaac and the beginning of Jacob and all of the Joseph story. But at this point, it's fascinating because Jacob is blessing his 12 sons, and he's blessing them in ways that are predicted, prophesizing the future of what's going to happen to them and what role they're going to play within the nation of Israel. Now, Reuben, Simeon and Levi, sort of the first three that are born, they're cursed in some way. They're blessed in one way, but they're cursed in another way. And that's a reflection of their earlier actions. But what we find here, we come to Judah, the fourth born. And Judah is given a rather long blessing compared to the others. And Judah's blessing is fascinating because Judah's been the bad guy. He's been the scoundrel. If you know Genesis 38, you know he's a bad guy. And yet, in it all, he's the one in the Joseph story who promised to stand in the place of Benjamin so that Benjamin could go free and go back to his father. He's the one who speaks up. He's the one who is the moral compass of the brothers when they go down to Egypt to visit Joseph. And now we come to Jacob blessing this son. And he blesses him in a number of ways. Well, the first thing that I really want to draw your attention to is the use of the word scepter. He talks about Judah being given a scepter. Judah is given this kingly instrument. Now, you might think of coronation of the queen. She usually holds this little orb, which is to be the world. And in this, she holds a stick or a scepter. And with that, she wields her queenly part, her royal authority. And so what Jacob is saying is, out of your line, Judah, will come kings. And we know this, is the kings of Israel come from the line of Judah, David's sons. King David is the greater son of Judah. But there's a line here that's looking beyond David. And it's a line that introduces the concept of stewardship. You are to hold on to this scepter, Judah, until he who it belongs to comes. Now, this is a wonderful picture, isn't it? That the kings of Israel, the kings of Judah, were to be stewards. They were caretaker kings. They were just holding on to it. They were like seat warmers at the Oscars, keeping the seat warm and safe and filled until he who it belongs to comes. And enter Jesus, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, and he comes as great David's greater son, greater than David, greater than Judah. He comes and he claims the scepter, which is rightfully his, and he sits on his throne. And the picture given to us in Daniel of the kingdom that knows no end and knows no bounds comes true. The kingdom of heaven comes onto earth, and Jesus rules and reigns with the scepter that was rightfully his, only being lent for a time to the kings of Judah. There's another picture that comes up in here, and it's the picture of Judah as being like a lion's cub. Well, as the story of the Bible progresses, we're introduced to another lion. In Revelation 5, at the sort of the coronation of the ascension of Jesus, we see him referred to as the Lamb who was slain and the Lion of Judah. Here the lion cub has grown into the Lion of Judah. Just like Judah was to be the steward of the throne until he who it belongs to comes, so Judah is but a lion cub. And one day, the Lion of Judah will come. He will conquer, he will win, and he will bring victory to his people.